week on Supercars Talk, a Triple8 domination of Sandown doesn't really tell the true story. The big news this week is that we got to see a lot of new liveries for the Sandown 500. Kicking it off, let's save the best for first. Drum roll, please. It is Thomas Randall's Castrol car. Well, Tyler Everingham's as well. How amazing did that car look? I'm probably not a big fan of those old Supras, but my God, that livery on that car, outstanding. Job well done. They had all the merchandise and that as well. You could get hats and t-shirts over the weekend. I saw a lot of people walking around with all of that on. Then the little video they did with like that Gran Turismo thing where he skips through and, you know, picks the car off the game and then it goes into real life, and just absolutely, for the team that doesn't seem to put in any effort with the Indigenous liveries, and then they go and just knocked that one out of the park. Then, okay, we had the SCT livery. It was okay. Penrite, I'm not sure why. I spoke to a lot of people over the weekend. We had a few theories. The blue, just totally wrong, especially when they had Alan Moffat's actual Brute 33 car there in the proper dark blue livery. We had a few theories over the weekend. You know, possibly it doesn't look great on TV, like it's too dark on TV, or maybe that then that blue is too close to the Triple8 Red Bull blue, and they were worried about, you know, kind of blending in with those. The brighter blue definitely stood out, but it just, I don't know, it just missed the mark because the blue was the wrong blue. So it was like, well, what are you doing? The other theory was that it was very close to kind of the blue on the Australian flag, and we do know that the Penrite, very patriotic, always, you know, kind of incorporate the Australian flag and that on their special liveries. So yeah, anyway, a little bit disappointed with that one. The power play Brody Kostecki, Todd Hazelwood car, I actually didn't mind that, and it looked quite good out on track. One of the better liveries, especially the Erebus ones during the year. I really don't mind what they've done with the Tyre Power livery on the Jack LeBrock car, and yeah, this power play one, and it looked really good in person going around on track. And of course, we had a new Boost livery too. Funnily, I'd actually joked with Brad Vaughan the night before this was announced. I said, Pete Adderton will come along and save the day and sponsor the team. And yeah, well, they did. I'm not sure how much pre-notice there was on this. No one would answer that. But the car looked pretty good, and it was sticking up very well, and there was a lot of people walking around with kind of Boost hats and things like that. Pretty easy, though, you know, Boost would have had a lot of hats kicking around. I did see them stickering up the truck on Friday morning, so it's not like they had a lot of preparation on it, but I do wonder if they had a bit of pre-preparation to, you know, get the layout on the car so well. The other news before we get into the racing, Shell has announced that they will be continuing with DJR as the naming rights sponsor of that team. No mention on the length of contract, of course, typical DJR contract, no mention of timing. And Monster has actually agreed to let Tickford sell merchandise with the logo on the t-shirts and things like that. You could go and buy Monster merchandise at Sandown once again. I think it's been a good year and a half. It was the start of last year that happened. No news on model cars yet though. So currently that is it there on camera? That's still the last Monster Mustang that you can get. Now, before we get into the rundown of team by team, just a massive shout out to all the fans that did come and talk to me over the weekend. I got to spend a fair bit of time with a couple of people, and yeah, that was really good. Getting to have some good in-depth chats about all the goings on in Supercars. Yeah, just an amazing fan base here. Yeah, people are really knowledgeable, and yeah, thank you. It really made my day, everyone who came up and said hi and thanked me for making the videos. You know, you get the comments on the YouTube videos and everything, and I really appreciate all that. But yeah, actually people coming up in person to come and say hi, yeah, it's just really special. So thank you to everyone who, yeah, come and spoke to me over the weekend, and thank you for everyone for watching the videos. You know, it makes it worthwhile all the time that kind of goes into these. Also over the weekend I tried to spend a bit more time as a general fan this year rather than just kind of hanging around the pits and watching sessions on TV. I did spend a lot more time walking around kind of the general admission area, and we did actually get up into the grandstand on Saturday afternoon after the grandstand guards disappeared. We got to sneak up there to watch the top 10 shootout, and I absolutely froze. I don't think I got warm until about lunchtime on Monday after freezing up there. And yeah, anyway, I'll go back and do it again if there is another round at Sandown. That was one big talking point over the weekend. Will Sandown actually be happening in the future? I really hope so, because yeah, little thing I'm trying this week. I'm not sure if I'm going to do this with every round, but yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly over the weekend. So the good, Sandown, it's just a great racetrack. It always turns on great racing. Yeah, it's just good. You've got a big grandstand there. It's close to home for me, but it is close to a big population and things like that. I had a bit of trouble getting out of there Saturday night because of a lot of cars in the car park and things like that, but other than that, like, it's pretty easy to get there, get in and get out. Like, once you're out of the car park, you're on a main road and you're out of there, kind of thing. It's not so bad. Cars like these Gen 3 cars, every time I see them in person, they just blow me away. They look awesome. I mean, Supercars, you know, Australian touring cars and Supercars all the way through have looked really cool, but these ones, just the way they sit and yeah, they sound, look really good. And although, you know, it was Triple8 dominated weekend, lots of competitive combinations out there. Just a matter of, you know, people making lots of mistakes, and Triple8 didn't really make any mistakes, making it look a bit more dominant than probably what it should have been. Yeah, lots of competition out there, which is a good sign for Bathurst. Now, the bad, Triple8 domination, yeah, it did look like they dominated the race, which is probably more because a lot of other people made mistakes. Let's hope that they've got it out of their systems, and then Bathurst will be a straightforward. Bad, lucky dog. I don't think we need to be giving people their laps back. Yeah, but most of the people would have probably stayed on it, and then if you've dropped back, well, yeah, you can either get the lap back through pit sequences, or, you know, you're out of the race, kind of thing. Yeah, I don't think we need that. The ugly, full course yellow, people crashing under full course yellow. So from what it looked like, they'd taken a leaf out of, I mean, let's take Dave Reynolds. He is a Victorian resident, and what seems to happen in Victoria, I'm not sure if it's like this with every other state, but because of our stupid road rules and whatnot, people seem to drive looking at their speedo rather than kind of what's ahead of them on the road. So it seemed to be that, you know, Dave Reynolds is looking at his speedo and, oh my God, Will Davison's stopped in front of me, bushka. Yeah, just stupid having crashes under a full course yellow where you're supposed to be yellow flags. You're supposed to be paying attention to what's going on so you don't have more crashes because someone else had a crash. But yeah, then this whole full course yellow thing, I don't like it. So the time that the safety car was out because of these full course yellow things, it just seemed to drag around forever while people are lapping around at 80 Ks while everyone goes and does their pit stops. It felt like, you know, it was going for 15 minutes when all you had to do was drag a car quickly out of the sand trap. Yeah, I don't think, I've seen some things, like a certain guy who came second in the race reckons it's the best thing since sliced bread, but that's probably because he thinks that's really great at the moment because he didn't have to double stack during the day. So he ended up coming second, where, you know, under a normal circumstance with things like that, they probably would have had a double stack and then fighting back all day. Whereas now they're like, hey, we can finish on the podium at Bathurst, even though we're not the fastest car from our team. Anyway, let me know down in the comments what you thought of all these full course yellows. Do you like this trundling at 80k thing? Or granted, we have to stop that racing back to the pits at full speed when someone has crashed, but this is not the solution in my opinion. And then of course we had a time certain race finish because of all of the full course yellows going forever and ever and ever and ever. So if we didn't have all of that dragging on for eternity, we wouldn't have had a time certain finish. Now, I haven't jumped on Facebook to see how, you know, the complaints. I can just imagine, oh, I couldn't even watch it on free to air and there was a time certain finish. Yeah. This is why I don't go on Bookface to see all of that stuff. But I can understand why people get frustrated with it, especially because all of a sudden you're cruising along. Oh, we got 20 laps to go. We got 19 laps to go. We got 18 laps to go. Oh, no, the race is going to finish in 5 minutes, kind of. I know it wasn't exactly that, but that's kind of what it felt like. And then you do feel a bit shortchanged, especially when you've sat there waiting for these safety cars to drag on forever. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on with the rundown of the team. So kicking it off once again, no, we got something different this time. The two wild cards. So we had the Triple8 of Cooper Murray and Craig Lowndes. Started 18th, finished 5th. Very impressive day overall. Lowndes drove forward in his stint, and then Murray looked like he belonged in the main game. It's a good sign for next year. He was battling with the main guys at the end. The highlighted, I suppose, by his battle with Waters and coming out on top in that battle. The Matt Charter, Brad Vaughan wildcard, started 25th. They weren't last on the grid. Finished 19th in the end. Probably not a true reflection of their day. The Charter was actually fighting forward at the start of the race. I do think he ended up slightly back after, but he actually passed some guys at the start of the race. I fully expected these guys to, you know, start last and kind of try to just kind of off that pace, but they'd actually, you know, he was battling with people at the start of the race. Then Brad Vaughan got in the car and, yeah, did Brad Vaughan things. I mean, he won the Super 2 race earlier on in the day. Very, very impressive drive. I think he took on Heimgartner at one stage out there. Yeah, definitely, it's not like he was just battling with co-drivers. He ended up battling some of the main drivers up there. They ended the day on the lead lap there, which, you know, a lot of others didn't. They stayed out of trouble. They didn't get penalties. They didn't crash the car or anything. They did have that bit at the start, which I think was part of Cam Hill's car kind of jamming up the front bumper. But yeah, just a really impressive day from those guys, especially, you know, this is a new team. They're with a new car, etc., etc. Yeah, I can only see them doing a better job at Bathurst. Now, we have a new team last in the team's championship. It is the Brad Jones Racing B team. Now, for these graphics, I've separated out the two teams for this weekend. So, yeah, number 96, qualified 22nd, finished 21st. Number 50, special number for the weekend, qualified 20th, finished 22nd. Yeah, they, you know, everyone that they beat had either crashed or, you know, blown up. Yeah, don't need to say any more about them. Next up, the perennial backmarkers Blanchard Racing Team. So Courtney and Perkins qualified 12th, finished 18th. The Aaron car qualified 26th and last and finished 17th. Yeah, so there was some hope for the Courtney car after he'd put the car 12th on the grid. You know, are these Walkinshaw Andretti United helps, you know, paying off there? Yeah, Jack had shown he's still on the pace in Super 2. He'd won the race the day before. They just didn't really seem to have any race pace, just kind of went back in the race. I'm not sure how, but they actually ended up behind the teammates' car. It was for 17th and 18th though, so, you know, who really cares? The secondary car, the highlight, or the low light of the race was, Aaron Love kind of turning in on Jaime as Jaime was fighting back from something that he'd done during the day. He just turned in. Does he need like a NASCAR style spotter after what happened at Tasmania and now here, where he doesn't seem to have spatial awareness at the moment? I would actually be interested to see would qualify better than last on the grid if you put Aaron Cameron in the car instead of Aaron Love. Next up, Erebus. So much speed over the weekend for so little result, and this has seen them actually drop a couple more positions in the championship. So the number one car, which was one of my dark horses for the race, started fourth and did not finish. Brody really aggressive off the start, making friends at DJR, punting Anton off. Yeah, I'm not sure how that would have gone down in there. He was battling for third on the road, so it's worthwhile. Hazelwood actually got in the car and was looking even more competitive than what Brody was against kind of, the main guys. Todd had actually just got himself past Jamie, which was a little bit of work, which ultimately caused a puncher, and off he went. Scaife got really excited about, he's locked into the corner. You're like, no. I mean, sometimes he goes and you're like, no, something's going on here. It's, Todd's pretty good. It just got worse and worse after that. Brody got a 15-second penalty for spinning the wheels in the pit lane. And then, they kind of were fighting back and they had lots and lots of speed. But, the engine finally died. Is that a problem because they've been stretching things out, or were they stretching to try and just put in new of Bathurst? There was lots of speed in that car. And you can say the same thing about the teammates, started 19th, finished 20th. It doesn't show how good a job they were doing. LeBrock was actually battling right in that front battle towards the end before he got taken out by Payne, Payne ultimately finished fourth. So he was battling in that kind of, top five area, probably would have finished there. Ojeda, once again, very, very impressive in the co-driver stints, did a really good job. They had lots of pace, but ultimately it came to nothing. And as I said, they've dropped some positions in the teams championship as well. So they're a long way down the pit lane for Bathurst compared to, considering they were garage one at round one at Bathurst, now they're right down the other end. The Brad Jones Racing A team is up next. The number 8 of Heimgartner and Fraser qualified 8th, finished 11th, and the number 14 of Brycey Fullwood and Jalen Robotham started 23rd and raced their way all the way up to 9th. They got themselves in the top 10. Good result. They didn't seem to get themselves in a lot of bother during the day, but that's probably why they finished in the top 10, because they didn't get themselves in a lot of bother. The Jaime car, they tried to serve a 5-second penalty during a safety car period. I suppose that's kind of the day that they had. There was a point where Declan Fraser was leading the race by about 15 seconds. That was because they didn't stop with everyone else. But it was impressive to see. But they just kind of bounced around up and down and did silly things like try to serve a stop and go or a 5-second penalty during a safety car period. Like, when has that been a thing? Premier Racing. Is Dave Russell the new Warren Luff? You just plug him into a car in an endurance race and you get yourself a podium. A few people had kind of written him off beforehand because he'd been with the overweight Brody the last couple of years, and they're like, it's just because he's running around heaps underweight. And then they do that. Started 14th, finished 3rd on the podium, the first podium for Premier Racing, and I think that was Jimmy Golding's first podium as well. The teammate car started 16th, finished 12th. Super impressive job from the number 31 boys. They actually had pace towards the end of the race. Golding was moving himself forward. D. Russ just doesn't make mistakes, had lots of pace. Are these guys actually a dark horse for Bathurst, or if push comes to shove, do they have the pace to, say, battle the Triple8s and, you know, Chaz Mostert, Cam Waters, if it really comes to it towards the end of the race? But super impressive job there. I was really glad that Pete Zibaris was there to see it in person too. As for the secondary car, the normal tale of two halves from this team. While one car's up, the other car seems to be down. I mean, 12th is not bad, but yeah. McLeod, got himself a 5-second penalty for punting off Jordan Boys. That caused the second safety car. Other than that, they seemed pretty anonymous all day. But then again, so did the Golden car. Like they were running pretty anonymously, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, these guys are on the podium. How did that happen? Just it's the way. It's the premier way. Matt Stone Racing, another weekend of unfulfilled potential. So the Hill and Crick car started 22nd, finished 10th. Yeah, considering one of them, Cameron Crick, spun under the safety car. Yeah, 10th's not so bad. They got beaten up on lap 1. They had a lot of damage to the rear. Yeah, they were just battling all day with, you know, smashed up back of the car. So at least it wasn't smashed up as bad as the teammates' car. Started 11th, like just missed out on the top 10 shootout. Percat was a little bit dirty on himself from that. Finished 23rd. Probably lucky to finish after, you know, O'Keefe got tangled in that whole thing, whatever happened with Kai Allen. He got tangled up in it. They were taking all of the SP tools to the back of the car to cut the... yeah, I'm sure SP Tools has given them more tools than the two that were there. But anyway, it was good plugs from you, Nicholas. Yeah, they'll bolt it all back together and it'll be nice and shiny for Bathurst. But yeah, not a great weekend for a brand new car, and overall just a bit of a scrappy weekend. They're not the only ones, but yeah, both cars were kind of involved in a few incidents, and yeah, a lot of panel damage on both of them. Dick Johnson Racing, Anton put the car third on the grid. Super impressive. When he ran off at the start of the well, just before the start of the top 10 shootout lap, and he puts down his lap, and you're kind of like, okay, that's a time. We couldn't actually see the times sitting in the grandstand, but you're like, oh, everyone else. And then people weren't actually going faster, and you're like, whew, that must have actually been a pretty impressive lap from him. But then during the race, okay, Brody bumped him off early on, and he lost quite a few positions, but they just didn't seem to have any race pace. The sister car was pretty much similar. Started 15th, finished 24th. Granted, Kai did whatever he did with O'Keefe, and yeah, the car was damaged. They were multiple laps down, but even like both cars just didn't seem to have any pace during the race. It seemed we were back to DJR of early 2024 rather than the DJR spec that we've had the last few rounds where they've actually been competitive. Now, the first of the, I suppose, front runners on the, well, I suppose Erebus was a front runner, but, you know, what happened? Grove Racing. So, Stanaway. Massive disappointment for those guys. Darwood didn't even get to drive in the race. Started 7th. They were actually driving along. They got ahead of Payne off the start. Or no, actually Payne started behind them, but they were, you know, they were ahead. They were looking really good. Matty was putting them under pressure, but then bang, it was all over and done with. Yeah. Considering where they were, I think they probably would have ran kind of around that Payne pace for the rest of the day. So they could have been on for top 5. Just, it's so hard to tell because they went out so early. But yeah, what we saw, it was looking good. Richie was the fastest in one of the wet sessions as well. No surprises there. As it started to, well, hail just before the qualifying session, we were making jokes like, what's the odds on Richie qualifying this on pole? And yeah, if I had a betting account, I probably would have got money on and then lost it pretty quickly. But yeah, this is why I don't bet on racing. Anyway, okay, Tanda, once again, super impressive as a co-driver. Yeah, okay, I am a Tanda fan, but he seemed to actually be moving that car further forward than what it probably deserved to be, whereas then, you know, when Matt got back into it, it seemed to kind of come back to probably a little bit where it was. I mean, fourth, still super impressive, but you've also got to look, a few of the other guys had issues during the day. Yeah, they did push LeBrock off right towards the end there, causing that late safety car. I don't think he got a penalty for that. So yeah, well done, got away from it. I can only see these guys being stronger again at Bathurst, as, you know, they're still learning, etc, etc. You know, Matt Payne is still, it's only his second year. Garth has just got back in the car and doing Garth things, so then hopefully Richie's car doesn't blow up at Bathurst and Darwood actually gets to drive some laps. In third position now, because of their relatively disappointing weekend, is Walkerjaw Andretti United. Okay, Chaz started sixth, they were racing right at the front. Lee gets in the car and lost it by himself. It's a pretty simple way of looking at it, but yeah, that ultimately, Lee was the first co-driver to get his laps done and get him out of the car. They were playing catch up after that spin. There was a bit of damage to one of the side skirts. I don't think it affected them really that much, but they were just trying alternate strategies and stuff to get himself back into the fight. There seemed to be the pace there. Seventh, not a bad pickup in the end, but you know, without that spin, it could have been so much better. I reckon they would have probably been good enough at least for third, if not maybe have been able to catch up with the Triple8 guys. Yeah, let's hope they have a better run at Bathurst and get that championship fight going back again, because it's now obviously the lead has stretched out a bit. As for the number two, they started 10th, finished 15th. I'm not really sure why. I don't have any notes of them, you know, crashing into anyone or anything like that. They did get a 5-second penalty for an unsafe release, but that doesn't really explain why they were down in 15th. Just yeah, overall a bit of a disappointing day for WAU, and they kind of deserve to drop down to third in the team's championship from that. Tickford Racing, once again, just a shout out for that livery, outstanding. Okay, off the start, Cam Waters, front row. I think he must have been talking to Moff before the start and saying, like, how do I lose the most amount of positions off the start? And yeah, Moff may have suggested do a Victor Bray burnout. And yeah, that a good way of losing positions off the start. That seemed to be a bit of a trait that Moff would do the last few years. Yeah, Waters would put it in a really good position and then he would lose some positions. Waters did it himself this time. So yeah, they didn't seem to quite have the race pace of the lead bunch anyway, and the big highlight of that was that, you know, Cooper Murray got past them at the end. Now, granted, Cooper Murray was driving a Triple8 car, and the Triple8 cars kind of dominated the race, but you wouldn't expect Cooper Murray as a Super 2 driver in a wildcard coming in to beat Cam Waters towards the end of the race. So that says that. Randall, they started 21st, finished 13th in the end, so they did move forward. They were the first to stop. They were trying a bit of an alternate strategy, and then they didn't swap drivers at that point. The safety car came out the lap after they'd stopped, and then all the co-drivers went in. So then Randall was driving around behind the 8 ball and around all the co-drivers. So then Everingham was in still when all the main drivers were getting back in. Having said that though, Tyler, very impressive job. I think it was one of the safety car restarts and they were more towards the front end of the bunch. And yeah, he didn't look at, like, you could have sworn that it was Randall in the car. Yeah, Tyler, he impressed me over the weekend. I was actually expecting him to be a bit more of a handbrake for the team, but yeah, hats off, really good job there. And finally, we have Triple8. Brown and Pye started first, finished first. Pretty simple, you know. no story in that one. The 88 started 5th, finished 2nd. So yeah, Brown, amazing start, off he went. Never headed. There was a bit of confusion with some of the safety car stops where the 88 kind of got in front, and then the funny thing is the 88 had actually got them right towards the end there, had got out in front, and then Feeney ran off at turn 1 and Brown went in very hot as well, and there was that collision. Jamie's got to talk about that because, you can't hit it. Jamie's the only one that's allowed to crash into other Triple 8 cars. The rule is at Triple 8, no crashing into each other unless it's... Anyway, all of that aside, a really, really strong day, and then the wildcard coming 5th. Just, what do you say about it? They could have ended in disaster when they did touch each other, but it didn't. It's all fine, and off they went to win. These guys are the leading combinations heading into Bathurst, especially now with the way the rules are with this full course yellow crap. It does mean that the double stacking is not such of a worry, so they can trot along and run around in 1st and 2nd and not have to stress about that double stacking thing, which takes a little bit of sting out of the fight, but it also means that you haven't got, say, the teammates pushing each other as badly to get that, pit priority. So it probably will end up in a better position for them until right at the end of the race when, it's all gloves off and, both of them are going for the win, because that's probably what's going to happen at Bathurst. In previous years, you'd say whichever Triple 8 car is the one that hasn't double stacked will be the one in contention for the win. Now, realistically, both of them are going to be in contention for the win. So that's my Sandown review. I also got to interview a couple of drivers over the weekend. There will be some of those videos coming out in the next couple of weeks, so keep an eye out for them. Hopefully I'll be doing a bit of a Super 2 report next week, and hopefully we've got a special Bathurst preview planned with a bit of a guest running through our thoughts on where we think all of the combinations are going to go, and give them a bit of a rating on what they're going to do. But yeah, keep an eye out for those videos coming out in the next few weeks. And thanks again to all the people who came and spoke to me over the weekend. I really appreciate it. Till next time, I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later.